The issue is my digestion. And this is a big issue here. You know, we talk a lot about the lymph, but the lymph is what filters through all the digestive organs just like it does everyone else, because every digestive organ you have is made up of cells and two floods. Everywhere we go, we find the cells and two floods everywhere we go. It's just the cells are specialists, and depending upon the type of gland or organ that we're dealing with, you know, depends upon the cell and the specialty of the cell and things like that. But we still have the two universal issues, consumption and elimination. We still have these two issues at the cellular level. So over time here, and because man has been doing the high protein / dairy type foods, he has not only filled his body full of mucus, but he's just wrecked his GI tract and kidneys. And if you were to pick specific tissue that is probably genetically the worst out there, you're going to find the GI tract sits pretty bad. You know, most people have chronic bowels at one level or another. They're spastic, they're ballooned, they're pocketed diverticulums, you name it. You prolapse like crazy. You know, I think I told you I knew a surgeon back in the early 70s, and he said he only saw one healthy colon in the early 70s, and that was at a 4-year-old girl dissection at Harvard. And I thought, wow. And that's in the 70s. So if you go back and read the natural health books of the day, and you go back into the 1900s, early 1900s, they were concerned then because colon cancer and colon issues were at the top of the game, digestive things, malabsorption and stuff. So this is a big deal. Now we're understanding that the kidneys are just as bad, but even worse in the sense that they filter the internal waste from all the cells. Well, I don't know which is worse, not to poop or not to eliminate cellular waste, because it's all acids, it's all can hurt you. Elimination is as vital as consumption. You can't have one without the other, and that's been the fault, I feel, of the allopathic thinking. And of course, you know, most pharmaceuticals are suppressants at some level or another. Now, anything I eat, melons, oranges, mangoes, etc., it all comes out looking literally the same as when ingested. I am constantly bloated and gassy. I also get pains in the stomach area radiating to the back when eating certain fruits like melons. You know, and that, I hate to hear that, because I do know that that is a digestive problem, since it is carbohydrates. You know that carbohydrates uses the pancreas as its digestive gland. And so this would indicate digestive enzyme problems. So the sad thing is that there's an X amount of time people have to go through in making things well. So I'm going to be on the pancreatic formula 2-3 times a day. I'm going to do small meals more often, and I'm going to digest in my mouth more. I'm going to sit there and chew. And I taught myself this years ago, and I'm always the last one at the table to leave, because I'm a slow chewer now. I don't sit there and swallow my food. I taught myself years ago, what was it, the old thing, chew 45 times or whatever? But I sit there and chew and digest here as much as I can, and then let it finish up in the pancreas. The fact that you're feeling that sort of thing does show that you have issues with the stomach and the pancreas and maybe even the liver. So the liver, of course, deals with fatty acids. And so that you would find that if you had more fatty type, maybe even fruit like avocados, that might bother you. And if you were having both gallbladder, liver, and hepatic and pancreatic problems, you could actually alternate 1 bottle of pancreas, 1 bottle of liver gallbladder, 1 bottle of pancreas, and 1 bottle of liver gallbladder. And I would do the capsules on these, particularly with the pancreas and the liver gallbladder, because they're stronger, I think. At the same time, you know, I'm going to use the GI broom. I'm not going to try to push my foods through too fast, but I'm going to try to get some astringent action going. Again, this goes back to chronic bowels, branches off the tree, the pancreas, the liver, gallbladder, how they're going down. And so look at your eyes, take a look at the pancreatic area, the liver, gallbladder area, see what you see. If you have a big lacuna, a big lesion there, a pattern there, it might take you some time to repair this, honey. I don't know, but go slower with your meals, less is more at a meal, and super chew. Digest here in your mouth and go slow, because this is definitely suggestive of a serious pancreatic problem here. And sometimes we don't realize things, and still we go on. Like fruit is the simplest food on the planet to digest. You can't get much simpler than fruit to digest, even more simple than berries. And melons are, of course, the simplest. I mean, they're in and out like nothing. And if you're having problems with those, that to me shows more of a serious nature. Now, you could do a pancreatic glandular. Boy, I would. Just to hit that pancreas with a glandular to try to wake up those cells. At the same time, I take a look at the pituitary just as a look-see, because that baby, the head area, controls everything. You could use lower circulation to move blood more aggressively in the pancreas, the pancreatic capsules, pancreatic glandular, chew more, digest more in your mouth, smaller meals more often, things like that. Get more aggressive with the cleaning of the gut, the GI tract. Definitely have to realize that on top of all of this, you've got to get your kidneys filtering, because why do we have pancreatic or liver gallbladder problems or gastric stomach problems? Why do we have these problems? And this, you can go right to the diets men have been on, but these diets, these high protein diets, have not only set up a lot of degrading of tissue, but in particular the GI tract and kidney tissue. And boy, so now we start having lymphatic problems within the pancreas, lymphatic problems within the wall of the bowel causing malabsorption, lymphatic problems in the wall of the liver and gallbladder. This is why we get fatty livers, and why we get itises, pancreatitis, hepatitis, gastritis, enteritis, small bowel inflammation, colitis, colon inflammation, all acidosis. Man's trying to make it more complicated and complex than it really is. And to that end, he's losing his financial picture, he's losing his health, he's losing everything for the sake of the intellectualism and of the mind. You got to pull back and keep things simple sometimes. Man keeps thinking the more complicated the better. The answers have got to be so complicated to life, and that's the problem. The mind has consumed man and taken him down. So now we have to gain our spirituality, our consciousness back, and pull back and realize simplicity. And simplicity is the order of the day and the healing of the day. This constantly bloaty and gassy. Now here's another thing you might find there, sweetheart, is you might find an orange in your eye. You might find a lot of sulfur. Fruits actually start pulling on sulfur. Fruits are astringent. And you can see the difference by eating for those that are sensitive, you can see the difference by eating a small little piece of fruit when you have sulfur problems, and a vegetable, and the difference between the astringent properties of each one of those. You can tell it right off. And so if you have sulfur, get on that GI broom and keep pulling, because there's no easy remedy to any of this. This is a process of rolling up your sleeves, putting on the robe, jumping on the bronco, locking yourself in and riding it. Yeah, moving where we can, using herbs, glandulars, foods, fasting, things like this to help us, And could be you might need to move up into a water fast later on or something, try that a little bit, 3-day or something. But I definitely had a lot of cases like this, sweetheart, and I'm telling you, there is people out there like that. So bad, in fact, with the gastroparesis, which is a paralysis of the stomach, not only are they not digesting, they're throwing everything right back up, a lot of them. So it's like, man's got themselves pretty far, down the tubes to Hellville. So walking back to Wellville can be challenging at times. Now, the problem comes in here with the use of digestive enzymes to get remedy. because you will in turn feel better for short periods of time. But I'm getting them in here more regularly now, showing extreme digestive problems after taking long-term digestive enzymes. I feel it is a big-time no-no, unless it's maybe those papaya ones. I just find that one has to be very careful when we're dealing with endocrine, exocrine glands, and that's just what the pancreas is. Just like all the other glands, the adrenals and everything else, we don't sometimes consider the pancreas as a gland. And we talked about the insulin. By giving insulin, your beta cells quit producing it. The same thing as by giving cortisone. Your adrenals quit producing cortisol. When you take it, your body quits making it, and then you really compromise yourself for the sake of a short-term remedy. You know, you could try another thing is pull off of everything. Just pull off of everything. Try the opposite. Just pull off of everything. Keep doing the super chew and small meals more often. Maybe do more juices and squish them out in your mouth, and maybe go on a little bit of a juice fast. That sort of thing might be helpful. Same with the vegetables then, because if you're not digesting the fruit, I don't know how in the hell you could digest vegetables. Same gland, same problem there, you know. The fruit is real aggressive, and so sometimes it creates a little spasticity since there's so much inflammation in the gut. And of course, with the fruit and being astringent can create some spasticity, and maybe your foods are going through too fast and not having time to digest. There's always that problem. And in a chronic situation, which is where a lot of us are here, at chronic levels, it'll take you a while to get back to a sense of wellness. And that's the problem. We just get to these chronic levels, and it just takes so much to get us back up and give your body a break, have it take a breath for a minute, and then start slowly or something. That is a problem for people. If you combine proteins and starches, or you put fruits on top of anything else, you're going to get gas and fermentation and putrefaction. You definitely don't mix fruit with anything. It's just not smart, because this is about who digests first, who digests the fastest. Does fruit digest faster than grains? Does fruit digest faster than meat? Does fruit digest? Because there is a sense that you can eat fruits with meat, but in reality, meat is very difficult to digest and has an acid digestive hit at first. So fruits always need to go down first. I agree. This is very important comment too, by the way, is that keep your fruits separate, and I would even keep them separate then out of my green drinks. Especially if you notice bloating or gas, things like this, you're mixing the wrong foods together. And really, you know, I talk about the rainbow salad and everything, but truly it is better to eat simplistically, because each food digests its own pace. It's better to eat very simple, just a few different fruits at a meal. You'll feel better, you'll feel more energy, because your body's not burdened with, well, we got to, you know, all of that.
The only exception to the fruit, would you say, was the apple?
That's what we're talking about. Exactly. The apple is the only exception. That apple will, it actually, if you mix wrong, like protein and starches, that's your worst combination, in my opinion, is protein and starch combination. The FAA investigated a plane crash in Colombia one time, killed 69 passengers and 13 crew members. They checked that, everything. They did autopsies. They checked everything. And you know what their analysis was in this article? The pilot's breakfast. Now, they didn't comment on fermentation. They didn't comment on what fermentation creates, blood alcohol elevation, things like that. That's why I feel sorry for this mother. And I've talked about this before. This mother, that they went wrong way, a van full of kids and a friend going the wrong way on a freeway, and, of course, killed everybody. And they blamed her for being a closet alcoholic, and her husband swears them down she wasn't an alcoholic. And then they had an interview with the husband and his attorney, and the attorney said, well, she did have a big sore on her leg that she couldn't heal and stuff. And they really weren't tying. You didn't have any of the experts talking about the fermentation and the blood alcohol levels that occur with wrong eating. And then people that have weak adrenals do not metabolize their sugars well to begin with. So then that even makes it worse. So there's not a lot of conversation about how we ferment our foods and elevate our blood alcohols.
A lot of people pulled over for drunk driving, and it's purely because they've mixed their fruits with something, and it's caused that fermentation, that blood alcohol, or that sugar alcohol.
Yeah, yeah. See, they ate the wrong meal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people don't think about that. So good to bring that up, Scott. Protein and starch don't do it, and certain foods digest faster than others. Fruits, berries, and melons. Of course, melons are at the top of that. That's why you hear eat them alone or leave them alone. Mm-hmm. And it's that way because melons go down quick. If I put anything on top of melons, I have gastric distress for quite a while. And it can just be a banana. So I eat my watermelon first thing in the morning, go out, walk the dog, do some things, and I come back and have bananas or whatever. What does it mean when your stool shows undigested food? Seems it just goes straight through me. I always see what I ate the same day or the following day, the food in my stool. Is this bad? It ain't good. Well, it simply means that I would turn my little head to your pancreas, especially if it's vegetable matter and fruit matter, and go, So you got to get on the pancreatic formula. I would do the pancreatic herbal formula with the capsules, and 2-3 times a day at the same time. Clean up your gut, get your lymph moving. Go after that lymph system that flows through the pancreas too. Make sure that's not it or the genetics of it.
And if you've got this going on, you most likely have some malabsorption.
Thank you.
So
good take. Absolutely.
I would add the superfood blend to that, so that you start getting some stuff.
And the bowel raker, the
GI
broom.
Sweet.
I started on your herbal detox 1 and 2 and an all raw diet, eating mainly fruits. Last night I had a big raw salad. This morning I woke up with diarrhea and lots of undigested vegetables. Now, this could have just purged you, and sometimes it does. Fruits will do the same thing. It'll just start purging and cleaning. That's your body doing that. That's not a gauge for fruits causes diarrhea in people. Some people think that. That isn't true, but they are the cleansers of the foods. So they do have sometimes a purging effect in vegetables too. In that case, it just purged you, spastic your bowels, and you didn't have time to digest it. When you eat a particular food and you get gas and belching, that's incomplete digestion. That's either fermentation if it's vegetables and fruits, or your carbohydrates, or it's putrefaction when it's your proteins. And now both of those, when it's fermentation, that's when fungus has to be involved. You have to have this, because if not, you get too acidic. I mean, way out there. So you have to have the interaction of the microbes to deal with the excess carbon that you're consuming if you're doing starches. The same thing with proteins and nitrogen. You have to have the bacterium there for those. See, recently ran across your YouTube channel. You mentioned some small talk about pancreatic cancer. My father-in-law has this, and although I do not have all the details, I am told it is very serious. I was wondering what at home steps could he do in a natural, holistic way until he returns to his doctor for follow-up. We are in New Jersey. They will not offer anything at this because his body is in a weak state with kidney problems as well. Whether it's pancreatic cancer, of course, I love the medical doctors and they say, oh, pancreatic cancer, that's the worst, you're done. We can't do anything for that one. Are you kidding me? They can't do anything for any of them. I mean, I have to laugh when someone says that. They can't do anything for any of them, except go ahead and take them down to Hellville and Deathville. Can't do anything with them, because they don't understand what forms them. So you have to understand that the problem first started in the kidneys, right? So he's going to have kidney problems. See, when you start looking at the cases, kidneys pop their ugly little heads up all the time. Not that you're ugly kidneys, but you know what I'm saying? So you got to fix the kidneys. To fix the pancreas, you got to fix the kidneys. You got to go fix those baby kidneys. So he's got to get into those kidneys with kidney herbs. I run people with 2 different kidney herbs, and if I have to, I add a glandular on top of that, because the key is what? Filtration of those kidneys. So you have to hit the adrenal glands and the kidneys. Those are key. Of course, you're going to put them on, either you put them on a 14-week protocol here, or I'll write you one. You have to get with the Elizabeth on that. Or get out there and find some kidney formulas, lymphatic formulas, and start giving it to them. because this is really key to do this. You have to get this out because this is of the lymph system, and if you can't address a tumor, you have to address the lymph system. The tumor is just the body's way of protecting the surrounding tissue. This is a protective device the body does. This isn't something real bad. It's just that as tumors increase, because you're supposed to fix it, and of course people don't know how to fix it, and obviously most doctors on this planet don't know how to fix something that simple. So, you know, these tumors get big and impress and close off the flow of energy, blood, nerve, or lymph, or all three. So things just swell more, get numb, break down, and of course then finally death is the result of that. But you can have tumors in you all your life and never have a problem. It's just what they do. Having tumors growing around tissue, of course, is going to destroy the tissue because tumors are just acid sewage. But so what? The tissue's in the tumor, no big deal. You're done. It's good. The body will take care of that, sending them to the lymph nodes. Your big focus is kidneys, getting the kidneys to filter so that system can work, getting that system hydrated. And of course, you're going to work on the GI tract because it's not just in his pancreas, it's in his liver, and just a matter of time where you'll see a lesion over in the liver gallbladder as well. And oh, wait a minute, there's the spleen. Oh, wait, he's got something in the lungs. Oh, look, he's got something developing in the brain. This is a systemic problem, whether it's pancreatic cancer or not, and you have to deal with that. Pancreatic cancer is no different than liver or any other cancer. They're all the same. You've got to get the kidneys filtering and get the adrenals up and get this system going and hydrated, and then you'll be successful. He's a weakened state because his kidneys and adrenals, and you can't treat those states. But thank God they were at least good enough to tell him that they can't treat it because he's too weak. Because I've seen them where it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They got the money they could. They think they're going to die anyway. No big deal. Get what we can. You know, these are kind of attitudes that are out there, believe it or not. And you have to protect yourselves. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you learn how to protect yourselves and keep yourselves from this kind of harm. And you'll go on and have a good life and grow spiritually and everything else. But you got to go after this and get him going on this now. Matter of fact, you can't treat this again. If your father decides to treat it, it could be the end of your relationship with your father, at least at the physical level. So I would really get him awake and let him view these videos, and the one on chemo particularly, but view how you overcome tumors and things like this. You know, if you treated it as a disease, as the medical doctors do, you will end up just like they do, dying or killing yourself. And it's the way it is, because you can't kill or treat something you don't understand, especially with acids at the level that they're using. This is just, it's criminal. It's criminal. Criminal. So I'd go right after that. Get the kidneys, the adrenals, go after the GI tract, get stomach and bowel, whatever. I go 2 kidneys, 2 lymphatics, 1 lymph node, 1 lymphatic system, just as we laid out here. 1 capsule, 1 tincture of kidney and lymphatics. You want the adrenal glands? I would hit if he's that fatigued, I'd hit the 400 milligram adrenals glandulars and get those adrenals up. That'll have a strong punch on the kidneys and get your dad fixed up. What are your thoughts on leaky gut in as far as increased in intestinal permeability? I can only say this. I don't truly believe in the leaky gut in terms of that sort of thing, in terms of leaking in the abdominal cavity. I think I talked about this on one of the videos kind of a long time ago, but I've only had one case where I could smell the person, stool smell, and I knew they were having a lot of pain. So I sent them immediately to a surgeon friend of mine, and he called me up on the phone and said, your buddy's in surgery now. And so he had a true leaky gut. I think there's no question that membranes get thinned, but you would be leaking interstitially into the lymph system if you were doing that. And yes, that is possible, but you have absorption anyway. That's the problem. So leaky gut absorption, what's the difference? You have putrefaction, you're going to absorb it just like you would in a leaky gut. So who really thinks about that? Most people are so malabsorbed, absorption is an issue. So I don't know. I don't know. When you have a leaky gut into the abdominal cavity, your death is coming. So I don't know how I think about that. Perforated bowels, people have experienced them, just like perforated appendixes. But that's when it's acidic so long that it's literally falling apart, and that's what's scary. And of course, this is all about acidosis and all about the lymph system not filtering through the kidneys. If you come up with another reason, let me know. Yes, the dietary food going down, definitely acidic, definitely beats up the mucosa. But you have to also think interstitially and the systemic effect of that food, you know. Food intolerances are on the increase with so many people suffering these. Well, food intolerance is lymphatic congestion. That's lymphatics. That affects absorption, digestion. That affects everything you can imagine. It affects the immune response. It creates acidosis and inflammation. It creates all these things. Remember, most acid reflux isn't the wanted kind. It's the kind that is interstitial, burning from the inside out. True acid reflux would be a pancreatic problem. Therefore, you would produce hydrochloric acid in the event of eating a protein, and that hydrochloric acid and pepsin would be hard to be neutralized with bicarbonate because the pancreas would be low in the production of bicarbonate. That is a real probability and possibility in one. Do you have any suggestions for ulcers? Well, ulcers, of course, are caused from acids. So you can have ulcers from hydrochloric acid not being neutralized by the bicarbonate in the pancreas. So you would have to fix the pancreas, stay away from proteins, and not initiate hydrochloric acid as much. The other side of this is that some ulcers are the burn from lymph. So changing your diet to a raw food diet, working on the pancreas if you're having acid reflux, true acid reflux from low bicarbonate in the body. But again, a lot of ulcerations come from inside, you know, where you're burning interstitially from high acidosis. So either way, your body's too acidic, and you want to start moving into that base side and pulling more base chemistry into your body, cooling everything down, allowing healing to take place. Go into your adrenals, get your steroids up, get your neurotransmitters up, get the kidneys turned on, start filtering your lymph. All that acid will start coming out of the body. Comes out in the form of mucus, of course, as part of it. And so all this comes out, and then an ulceration will heal. If this is an ulceration of the stomach, there's so many things you can take. The Heal All Tea, the stomach and bowel formulas, aloe vera, just get a plant and take the leaves and just have you about 2 ounces of fresh aloe vera, or buy a good quality aloe vera gel, things like that. So many things to heal ulcers. They're easy to heal up. Real easy. But you got to stay away from all proteins and stuff, James. You got to stay away from those because those initiate hydrochloric acid. When you got an acid, the potential to have an ulcer is there, or potential to have a cancer cell is there, if you don't stop that acid, if you don't keep that base balance. And so you just keep working on it. Just change your diet to at least a 70 to 80% raw. Fruits, berries, melons, maybe a salad a day, and then if you want some steamed or cooked vegetables and stuff, but you got to stay away from the tough foods, the nuts, the beans, the proteins, and let these ulcerated areas heal up. I have every kind of ulcer. I have every kind of ulcer of the digestive tract, and they occasionally bleed. Well, the negative part of this is that could be from that interstitial lymphatic constipation. In other words, in the wall where your cells are, your lymph system isn't filtering. Those acids from the cells are just sitting there chewing on that bowel wall, and that's burning from the inside out, ulcerating from the inside out. That you got to get rid of, and sooner the better, my friend, because that can lead you down to bowel cancer. That's not a good road to be on. Of course, this also suggests malabsorption. So you really want to handle that. Get on the bowel formulas. There's plenty of great herbs here. Get on the GI broom. Start opening this up. If your ulcers are bleeding, you can use the bleeding formula to stop the bleeding. And then just start healing. Use healing herbs. The bones formula, the Heal All Tea capsules, stomach and bowel capsules. We've got so many things that heals also. But remember, if this is all through the gut, it's probably interstitial burn. But you want to stay away from proteins anyway. But this is where you got to get into your lymph system and start getting it to filter. That's very important, and that'll all come out, my friend, and you'll be good to go. Very important to do this because of where this is going to take you if you're not careful. I've only been able to eat fruits and vegetables, and I'm very currently drinking a liter of cabbage juice a day, and it seems to be helping, but is there anything else I can do? Well, I would get rid of the cabbage juice, just because you run the risk of too much gas and stuff, and I would pound the aloe vera, the stomach and bowel formulas, number one, if you're moving well. I would also use Heal All capsules or Heal All tea. I would get fresh aloe vera and cut those leaves, cut the mucusy stuff. Real strong healer. But remember, and what you're saying, my personal opinion is you're burning from the inside out. Very common stuff. That is going to do some work, meaning you got to get your kidneys filtering, and you see how your body won't accept anything else. You start doing protein, you're going to go, oh, that's not good. So I would shift and go into that into the herbs that heal and soothe. At the same time, you got to start thinking about the cause of this problem, the lymphatic system, and start moving that, getting that filter through your kidneys, and then all those acids will come out, the ulcerations will heal, and you'll be good. And I mean, this is a good kind of good, because it'll last you probably a lifetime. Right now, you're at a high risk for problems. So you want to take care of that, my friend. People have asked me about the celiac disease. You know, bottom line, and I love this word. I think Webster's dictionary should put this in their dictionary: interstitial lymphatic constipation. Don't you? I mean, that's the interstitial. That's where your problem is. That means around the cells. That's that interstitial fluid. If it's in the small bowel, if it's in the colon, in the small bowel, you're going to get malabsorption. No question about it. You're going to break down the villi in time. I mean, this is all part of the whole thing. But it can be in the lungs. I mean, it starts to be head to toe. And if you have this, it's moving to the liver, the pancreas, because this is the fluid that's systemic, meaning head to toe. This is a question about Crohn's. Remember how we talk about the problems are in the lymph system, and the lymph system is in the wall. Wherever there's cells, there's blood and lymph. So think of in the wall. So Crohn's is a burn almost from wall to wall in the GI tract, you know. Think of it as advanced IBS if you want to, but I can also tell you that I had a Fox broadcaster's wife, but she couldn't poop with heavy Crohn's, you know, and you wouldn't believe the level of bowel formulas I had her on, so she could even have a bowel movement. It wasn't even funny. I had her like on 15 of my number 5s 2 or 3 times a day, and then I used Schultz's a little bit because real strong laxative, you know, and to move. But I did finally get her and back again. And that's the thing. This is about the lymph system in the wall, and this is a very serious problem. These things like Crohn's, IBS's, and this. I want to link this to this question about this lady's gallbladder. She had her gallbladder removed, and what's she going to do now? Well, again, go back to why the gallbladder. Go back to why you lose tissue, and we're going to go back to there's only 2 sides of chemistry. So which side of chemistry are you going to go on when you start losing tissue? Yeah, you're going to go on the acid side, obviously. And you know what deals with the acid side isn't the blood, so it wasn't a blood problem you had, it was a lymphatic problem. But when you see your lymph system backed up in the liver, it's probably backed up in its brother, the pancreas, and in the wall of the GI tract, small and large, and in the esophagus, and it starts backing up all through you. And this is where a lot of times you don't feel it. You need a little stricture and swallowing, and you know, a little ulceration, I mean, these things start creeping up, you know, and these are acid burns to tissue. A lot of these things are from the inside of the wall out. That's the seriousness of this. That's why move your lymph with Crohn's and everything else. Move your lymph. Get your adrenal glands up. Steroids are really a good thing to have if they're produced by your adrenal glands. And so get those adrenal glands up. Get those kidneys filtering there and work on that. Get that lymph moving. We got nice bowel formulas for that. Help you in every way from moving to cooling. But we also want to draw and pull through the bowel wall. We want to get into that lymph system, into the body, and get those kidneys filtering that. Again, an adrenal gland issue, working on the adrenals, but getting in that focus, and you'll fix that right up. probiotics is just trying to seed in bacteria because you want better digestion. But it's not about digestion. Bacteria, it breaks, undigested matter down. And of course there is some action, but with the enzymes and all that, that's the number one process. Any of the byproducts are always broken down by bacteria. So a lot of people feel they need to add bacteria to make their digestive tract work better. And
the body's trying to produce
exactly, that's like treating a symptom, and it really doesn't work anyway. You really have to. Some people feel better. I remember when Dr. Jensen invited me out one time and he said, look, I've got some new digestive enzymes. These digestive enzymes, you pour a little on oatmeal and in less than a minute that oatmeal is liquid. You go do that in your body and you're going to get gastric distress big time. Just not going to be the order of things that you'd want to go by. So you're not trying to treat a symptom. If you've got lymphatic problems in the guts, the celiac, all these type of problems, you're going to go in and you're going to clean that out. You're going to rebuild the GI tract. You're going to get the sulfur out. You're going to get the lymph moving in the wall. This is all much more on point and factual. When you move to raw foods, you don't have to think about digestive enzymes. You don't have to think about reseeding the gut. Because these are microbes, and what people don't realize is bacteria goes in and out at will. I mean, there's no keeping bacteria out of the human body, and nor would you even want to. That's a medical doctor's stupidity, and a stupidity it is.